I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guest today is MLA Kathy Bockus for the St. Croix riding. Thank you for being here today, Kathy.
My pleasure, Vicki.
Well, I know we wanted to talk about some good news actually right off the bat. Can you tell me what that announcement is?
Well, today the government has announced that the seasonal ferry will be extended until May 31st, 4 days a week, to Campobello Island.
So that pretty much, will that bring us safely into the summer season so that there's no...
Yeah, I believe their season runs from June till September. Now there may be a week, the 1st of September, when they have to take the ferry down for maintenance. But other than that, we will continue the ferry until 4 days a week until their season starts.
Now I know you've agreed to be a part of a town hall with MP Williamson and also Andrea Anderson Mason. In May, we're going to have a virtual town hall about the Campobello ferry. There's a lot of people on the island that obviously feel that just extending the seasonal ferry isn't a permanent solution. What are your thoughts on that, or what are you hoping to hear from people?
Well, it's not a permanent solution, but it has helped, let's face it, even though it was dependent on the weather, and that's the way this extension will be as well, dependent on the weather. It's not designed for winter travel, and we need a ferry that's a year-round ferry for Campobello, so the island residents have the option of traveling to and from the mainland, either by ferry or through the state of Maine on the bridge. And with COVID cases rising and the situation not quite what we'd like, there's a little bit of hesitancy to come through the states.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I talked to some people from the island recently who thought maybe there'd be a vaccine passport requirement too that could complicate things as we move into a post-COVID world as well, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have made the suggestion that we get Campobello vaccinated all at once. Take the doses over. I know the pharmacy over there is doing a great job, and they're vaccinating, the different age groups and whatnot. But my philosophy was like, let's get everybody vaccinated on Campobello and save them from having to come back and forth to make their appointments. If their appointment is here to get a vaccination or on the island, let's just do it all at once and be done.
Okay. Can we get a little update too, as well as another issue that's probably more important to St. Stephen, which would be the Milltown Dam? What's the latest on the Milltown Dam?
Well, actually, the town council had a briefing Wednesday night from MB Power on an update, I guess, on the Milltown Dam. And from what I could gather, I attended online, and the environmental impact assessment process is unfolding as it should. There's both sides of the border contributing because it has to, because the river runs, it borders both countries. So we're waiting to see what that brings forth.
Okay, and around when do you think we'll hear more news?
I'm not sure. It depends on the different things that go in, the different processes that have to be undertaken. I do know that if it does go ahead, there was a timeline presented to the council, and I think it was July of 2023 that decommissioning, if that's what is decided, would start.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk a little bit too about St. Stephen's anniversary year this year? What have the plans been? I know it's been obviously a complicated year to do this, but it's still happening.
Well, I have great faith in Heather Donahue and the BIA and all the other groups that are involved, and there's certainly a lot planned. I think there's a mural that's going to be unveiled and some different activities. I haven't seen too many yet, but I certainly am looking forward to it. I think there's some time capsules that are going to be buried, so that's kind of cool. 25 years from now, they'll dig those up or open those up. So yeah, it's going to be neat.
I know there's some news as well. Southwest New Brunswick had a decent tourism year despite COVID, and I think a lot of New Brunswickers discovered this part of the world for the first time, and the silver lining could be that they come back again, which there was some new news from the tourism office today. Can you tell people a little bit about what that is?
Well, the good news is, especially for our area, is that the tourism rebate will be extended for this summer. They are still processing, I believe, a few rebates from the fall and winter season, but it was so successful, and with COVID still, we're still uncertain about when the Atlantic bubble will really be open. We're hoping for June 19th, but if we have the tourism rebate, it's still going to encourage people to vacation in New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
So
what
that's
was
what we
the
want.
feedback from small businesses in the area? Did they find that a lot of people were coming? I know that being based here in St. Andrews, the summer was particularly busy.
Yeah.
A different kind of schedule. I know weekends were busier, for instance. There were less people staying for the whole week.
Yeah. Well, I did talk to a couple of people, and one young woman who said that she had talked to some people from away, and they said, well, actually they weren't from away, they were from away from here, this area, but from other parts of New Brunswick, and they said that they had used to vacation a lot of time in this area, but hadn't for some reason or another in the last few years, and they're wondering why they ever stopped. They rediscovered New Brunswick, and particularly our area. So those shopkeepers were very happy that they rediscovered.
Yeah, I noticed
us.
when I was on Campobello, I saw you there a couple times too, that there were people there for the first time, but New Brunswickers.
And that's great. We need to explore our own province. I'm hoping myself to get out more,
for
this summer. As long as it doesn't keep raining like this.
I think we have a week of it planned. And speaking of the environment, you're part of a committee, and I know there was last year one thing that did get postponed was a public, I believe, consultation on glyphosate spraying in New Brunswick. That's still something that we haven't heard the dates yet, but what is the committee you're on, and how do you plan to address environmental issues for the province?
I'm on a committee, it's called Climate Change and Environmental Stewardship, and I was so pleased to be on that committee. I'm on 6 different committees, by the way, so besides constituency work, there's committee work as well. But this committee, right now we're been having some organizational meetings. It's an all-party committee. There's all parties involved, and we're having meetings. We've got 4 days set aside in June, when we hope to start having presentations and delving back into all the issues facing us.
Okay, and glyphosate, do you expect to be a big one?
I expect it to be, yeah.
What is from this riding, what are the range of opinions you hear on the subject?
You've said it, the range of opinions from one end to the other. So.
Speaking of range of opinions, what have been some, or not just opinions, but concerns? Obviously, COVID-19 would be a very strange and trying time to step into a role as MLA. What has that been like to start with? And yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, well, I had a friend ask me, what's it like being an MP, or an MP, gosh, I don't know what it's like being an MP, an MLA during COVID, and I said, I don't know any different.
It's true.
Really. Beforehand, I did work with Greg Thompson, like Greg Thompson in his office as a constituency assistant, so I was used to the riding and some of the issues that came up, but as far as dealing with those issues during COVID, it's a lot different. Usually your constituency office is a place where people can come and go. You can come in, have a chat, have a cup of coffee, sit and gab and talk to either the constituency assistant. Shelley McKeeman is great. She keeps things organized for me, or, the MLA. But now it's hard. I mean, when we were in Orange, our office didn't encourage people to come in and out. Now that we're in yellow, we still mask and still sanitize and whatever. So it's a whole different thing. But you know what? The issues don't change. There are COVID-related issues, perhaps with travel, people wanting to see their families, but the same main issues: employment, housing, Medicare cards that are lost or need to be replaced, or just regular everyday things. And sometimes people just want to be able to talk to somebody that will listen to them, and that's what we're there for, is to listen to people.
Have there been issues during COVID that would be very particular to this riding? For instance, us being a border community is obviously different than something they're dealing with in Fredericton. Well,
definitely, and being rural as well. I mean, there's a big difference, and I'm finding that more and more, between rural communities and urban communities. Whereas our constituency office may be really, really busy, other offices perhaps in a urban riding wouldn't be as busy and would have different issues. Particular to here, you're right, the border, getting from Campobello to the mainland has been an issue. Two, we would have workers who live in St. Stephen and go to Calais to work every day, and everybody's being so careful though, Vicki. They've really, one thing that struck me is that everybody has stepped up to the plate. They might whine and complain just like the rest of us about the rules and regulations, but you know what? That's what's kept us safe. Dr. Russell and her team of advisors and health officials have been advising the COVID cabinet and the Premier how to make things work, how to keep everybody safe. And it might not be what people want to hear, but look at us and compare it to some of the other provinces.
How do you think I know we have different issues here. For instance, cross-border workers are now eligible for the vaccine, which is...
Rotational workers, cross-border workers, truck drivers, our frontline, our first responders, the police, the CBSA, paramedics, they're all eligible now.
Why do you think this area in particular, even though we're a border community, even though the cases have been higher in Maine, have still remained fairly low?
Because people are following Dr. Russell. I think maybe they're a little bit afraid of her, or they don't want to disappoint her. She's just so nice.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you field concerns? You're saying it's different, not everyone comes to the office. Is it mostly via email that people get in touch if they have ways to?
Thank goodness for social media. I do encourage people to reach out to me by email because I see those a lot quicker. I'm always worried about Facebook messages that I might lose some. But really, I mean, that's how a lot of people reach out, is through Facebook. I don't do Twitter too much, but Facebook, I get tons of messages, and I just sit down after the day and go through those messages. And sometimes my husband, who is very supportive, but don't tell him I said that, will say, so are you almost done? And it might be 10:30, but no, I can't leave a message unanswered, or I try not to. And if it's too long, if it's a day or two, please be patient with me. I have so many messages and emails that come in.
Now, I know you were working with Greg Thompson before this. You were also a journalist for a really long time in the area.
Careful now, really long time.
Can you tell people how a job like that prepares you for a position you're in? How is it the same? How is it different?
I saw myself as a journalist. We tried to help people. People would come to you with their concerns, and you found answers for them. Or you told people what was happening in their area so they'd be aware. So you brought awareness, you tried to solve problems, and it's the same thing when I was working in Greg's office. And in fact, that's what he told me, one of the last conversations I had with him. Just keep doing what you're doing and helping people. Except this time, when I call a government office, I'm not just a annoying reporter looking for information, and I might get an answer. I'm an MLA and I get an answer. So, and they really are. All the departments are so good at getting back to people, and I don't know how they do it, because they must. It's not just me. I mean, there's 49 constituencies in the province, and they have to find answers for them all. So I'm very impressed. If it takes a day, I don't worry. I know I'm going to get an answer.
We talked a little bit about this before we started filming. How do you deal with it's an era too of misinformation? There's a lot of people just using social media to get their information. How do you handle speaking with people who might not be going to reliable news sources, who have opinions not based in fact on what's going on, and how do you deal with that, just as someone trying to navigate social media right now?
Well, I have to say I've had a lot of experience with that, because I know when social media first came about, I was still working as a reporter. I would do an interview, and we would post that interview on Facebook with the facts of the story. And then people would argue and say, well, so-and-so told me that wasn't true. And I'd say, but I talked to the person. This is true. You can't argue with people who have their mind set that they are right and you are wrong. So don't waste the energy.
Okay, we'll try not to.
Yeah.
We have municipal elections coming up.
Yes.
You lived through an election in the time of COVID, the first one in the province.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, for people who might be hesitant either to vote or to get involved in running, what that experience was like for you?
Well, I always joke that it was the longest job interview I was ever on, because I was nominated in January and we didn't have the election until September. I'd really encourage people to get out. It's wonderful to get out and to be actual hands-on with the issues, instead of sitting back and complaining and saying, oh, I wish this could be done, or they should be doing that. Become one of they. Be somebody that can step up to the plate. And as far as safety, everything was done properly. There was sanitizing, there was masking, there was spacing as far as the voting day went, and it went great.
We have Kim Poffenroth, actually, I think she's coming April 12th down here,
wonderful,
so
yeah.
we'll have some questions for
Yes.
her as well. What does someone get out of you? I remember seeing you at many town councils back when we were both working as journalists. What does someone get out? And sometimes when you're a journalist, you experience every town council,
Yes.
as you remember.
Every meeting.
What does someone get out of being a part of government on that level, on that really local level?
Because you can make things happen. Instead of sitting back and complaining or wishing something got done, be a part of the solution. You know, step up. It takes some time, but let's face it, people can organize their days. People can find the time if they have to.
What were some of the...
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
Did you witness some really important local decisions being made?
Yeah, I'm trying to sort of, I think all decisions are important because they affect so many people. So that's why you need to be part of the solution. You need to be part of that team. And I would like to encourage women too. It's harder for women, I know, because you know they still have childcare and they still have to, things that men don't have to really sometimes worry about often. And it can be done though. I mean, it can be done and you should do it. Set an example.
I know that Kim Poffenroth, she's the chief electoral officer, was saying that last election, I believe, 49 mayors out of 104, I hope I get these numbers right, were acclaimed. So we're hoping to get more people involved this time. What would your words of encouragement for people who, from the position you've been in as MLA, what satisfaction have you already taken from being in a role like this, and how would that inspire people to get involved on a local level?
Being a part of a team, I think, and being heard. Everybody's opinion counts. It really does, and you're listened to. Whether you're from the tiniest riding and just an MLA, or whether you're from a large riding and you're a minister, everybody's opinion counts because you're all elected by the people in your riding, by the people of New Brunswick, and by the people in a municipal setting, by the people of that municipality.
There's been talk of reform and amalgamation. Is there any update on that, or what are your thoughts on that subject?
Well, actually, the green paper on municipal reform is set to come out, I believe, next week. Minister Daniel Alain and his team have worked very hard on it. He's met with just about every municipality and LSD around, and this is a green paper. It's for people to study and to read, and I really would encourage people to do that and see, again, for yourself what exactly it says, not rely on somebody that says, well, I heard it says, whatever. Read it.
Okay. On that note, can you tell me a little bit about places where people should go for information? I know that we're struggling to get people to rely only on reliable sources. Where are places you recommend people go for their COVID information?
Go to your Government of New Brunswick website or Facebook site. I shouldn't say it, but I have little patience for people who have become Facebook scholars. I don't want people to have the wrong information and to be following the wrong advice and something happen when they could be following the proper advice. It's okay to listen to your friends and whatever, but inform yourself personally.
Going forward, when we are out of COVID, and hopefully that, I know we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine rollout, what are your hopes and issues that you hope to address as we sort of come out of what we're going through right now, this part of the pandemic? What are some bigger issues you hope to address for the riding?
Well, personally, I want to have a Christmas in July, maybe with my family. I'm sure other people want to do that too. But might not be in July, might be September, October, but we'll have it. For the riding, I think the issues here are housing. We need affordable housing. We need transportation in the riding, and we need jobs. We're already working a little bit on that now, but hopefully once COVID is done, we can sort of go full tilt at it.
Have there been jobs in the area that have been particularly hit hard by COVID that it's put a light on in terms of ways we need to step up?
I think some people that are sole proprietors have been hit hard because they haven't qualified for some of the government funding, the provincial funding that's available.
Okay.
I just think everybody though has been wonderful. I mean, look at our gas station attendants, our grocery store clerks, all like the pharmacists and the clerks there. Everybody that has kept us going. We couldn't keep going if we couldn't get gas or groceries or our prescriptions or whatever. So they just deserve such a big round of applause and our gratitude for keeping us going.
I know that the Southwest Service Commission did a big report on the need for housing in the area. What are, for people who might not be as aware or might have concerns, what are some of the key issues around housing in Southwest New Brunswick?
We just need more of it. We need more of it, affordable and decent housing. And I'm not talking about subsidized housing. I'm talking about for the regular average family, the chance, the opportunity to buy a house or to have a larger apartment or whatever. We need more housing so that we can continue to grow, both economically and you know, our municipalities.
What's the, for people who might not envision it, what's the trickle-down effect of not having it? What doesn't come to the area when you don't have those?
Jobs don't come to the area. And without jobs, then we can't have industry expanding or businesses expanding, so we need housing.
And on the topic of transportation, what are some of the ways that we could improve? I know it's hard in a rural area, and we've tried different options, but what do you think could possibly be a solution that makes us have more access to city centers?
To city centers? Well, we need a bus service, really. I mean, I know that's been tried, and I know Dial-A-Ride does a great job getting people out and about, you know, to doctor's appointments and hospital appointments and things, and groceries and errands and whatnot. But we need a regular bus service if we can afford it, and if it's supported by the people that would go back and forth to a city center.
What have been, on that topic again, what have been some of the concerns that aren't COVID related of the riding?
It's hard to shift because somehow they always come back to COVID and how we're restricted in doing some things. Again, housing or jobs, people having issues with finances, you know, things like that. So.
Can you tell me a little bit about how your life has changed in this role for both you and Walter? How has being MLA changed your life?
Well, he's doing the dishes more. Which I appreciate. How has it changed? We're just plain regular people. We have kids, we have grandkids, you know, we have our friends, we have a dog and a cat that run the house, and the cat mostly. I know I was feeling pretty down in January one day. I have my mom in Hampton. She's 89. Hi, Mom. And she's a senior, and she's been one of those affected, as many seniors have been during COVID. They're in their own apartments, and she's in an apartment building, and they're very strict with themselves. When we're in red or orange, you know, they don't associate with each other or whatever, and they usually at nighttime. I have to make an appointment to see her. Or call her. I call her every day, but they usually get together in the communal room, you know, and talk and play cards or do puzzles. Well, they haven't been able to do that, so I just try to be upbeat when I call her. Well, one night I was feeling a little bit of COVID fatigue. You know, you know, you're trying to stay upbeat and whatnot, but she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, I'm just tired, Mom." So my 89-year-old mother goes, "Well, suck it up, Buttercup. We got a long ways to go yet." Well, of course, I just burst out laughing, and that made everything better. So.
How has she been over the course of the year? I know it's been we're seeing mental health across the province, obviously taking a hard hit because of the isolation.
Yeah. And I think if you've got senior family, if you've got senior friends, or to call them. It's hard on them. It's been hard on kids too, mentally distanced from their kids. You know how kids travel in packs and whatever. They haven't been able to do that. But seniors, I think it has affected. And we try to, my sisters and I, they're very good. They live in St. John, so they run her groceries to her on a regular basis and stop by for chats. But she's very strict, masks on, social distance, don't come in. She meets them in the lobby. So, you know, the seniors are being careful. She has had her vaccine.
Oh,
she was very pleased, at our pharmacy in Hampton, so she got it last Friday.
Does she feel better from just knowing it?
Yes, I think that's been a relief for her, so she was quite excited to get it. So, and said it was fine,
Yep.
no problem. So, yeah, but just, I have found that people have risen to the occasion. Does that sound trite? I think that people have stepped up to the plate and done what they had to do. And they've been kind to each other. And that's the biggest thing.
Do you have, I know that Minister Shepherd announced recently that that there's a rollout of drop-in mental health clinics across the province. That I know the first one, I believe, is in Edmundston?
Was in Campbellton.
Campbellton, sorry.
Yeah.
So there will be one, do you think, coming to this? Okay.
I'm hoping. There's supposed to be 13 of these clinics, and they're supposed to be rolled out eventually. I think they said they had 94 participants in that first clinic, and 93% of those were satisfied with the first visit. It's important. We need to focus more on mental health, and we are, and we will.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Kathy. It's
it's been fun.
great to see you in person.
Nice to see you too.
And I hope to have you back soon. And we will be having you back very shortly for the town hall in early May if you're watching on Campobello Island.
Yeah.
We were setting the dates now. We're coordinating MLA Kathy Bockus, MLA Andrea Anderson-Mason, and MP John Williamson will all be joining us here, and we'll be taking calls from Campobello Islanders live to hear your concerns. It'll be exciting, and live TV, whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, happens. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. I appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. I appreciate it.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.